one is kind of done the organizing and key researcher for the work we did. So this is a good class to Sharma. Thank you very much.
Presentation, which should be queued up, but I'm not going to wait for it to come up, so bear with me. So as Cuddy mentioned, this event that you're here tonight joining is actually part of a larger project that we've been working on at Social Planning Toronto. In particular, it's part of a community-based research project that we've been doing right here in this neighborhood. So we've been doing interviews, semi-structured interviews with parents and students to better understand their experiences around high school course selection. So participants, so parents and students were recruited largely through community organizations in this neighborhood, and thanks to you and the people in the audience who helped with the recruitment of those parents and students. And we asked parents and students about their experiences in high school course selection. So what were the different factors that influenced the decisions? How did they come to make those choices around what subjects to take and at what different course levels to take them? And so tonight I'm going to share with you some of the broad themes that we've started to see in our research. I'm going to let you know kind of what's been coming out of the interviews, so you can respond and you can provide further insight, that you can tell us, if you've had similar or dissimilar experiences to what I'm saying here. And for that reason, I'm not going to be going into detail about my interpretation of these findings or what conclusions I'm coming to, because we're really still in the process of gathering information and trying to figure out what this all means in the larger picture. You guys are getting a little sneak peek about everything I'm going to be talking about. So first I'm going to go through, next slide, what we heard from students. So we spoke to just over 40 students in this neighborhood in grades 11 and 12. All of the students we spoke to were taking either at least one applied course or had taken applied courses in the past. And so we heard about the different considerations that they made when selecting their courses. So students talked about the different roles that family, friends, and school officials play or didn't play in their decisions to take certain courses. So a number of students said that their immediate family had some influence over what courses they took. So the level of influence varied substantially from student to student. So some students said that they had, a casual conversation with a brother or sister about what course to take, while others said, they were pressured to take certain courses by their parents because it would lead to certain career paths. Perhaps surprisingly, very few students said that they were taking courses because of what their friends were taking. So they weren't checking their friends' timetables and kind of trying to coordinate. That wasn't really a factor that they considered. Most students reported speaking to a school official about what courses to take. So they spoke to principal, vice principal, guidance counselor, or a teacher about what their choices were. When it came to guidance counselors, experiences varied quite a bit. So some felt that guidance counselors were very helpful, some felt that guidance counselors weren't helpful at all, and some thought it really depended on what guidance counselor you spoke to. Almost all of the students said they wanted to go to college and or university after high school. Some students identified college as the pathway to get to university. So this not only affected the level of course they took, so whether they took it at applied or academic, but also the subject. So some students were taking certain subjects so they could have exposure to it, so they could figure out whether or not they wanted to take that at the post-secondary level. Among the students we spoke to, ability and interest seemed to be very strongly related. So students quite often express interest in the course or in the subject that they perceive themselves to be very good at. And sometimes when students felt that there was a subject that was their strong suit, they would take that subject at the academic level. Here's a quote from one of the students we spoke to. "I'm weak in math. That's why I'm not interested in math." So in order to gauge the level of knowledge students had, we asked them about the different types of courses, applied, academic, and locally developed. Several students that we spoke to referred to applied as being the mainstream, implying that it was the most popular or default route. We also noticed that there was no consistent understanding of the difference between applied and academic courses. So differences, some of the students mentioned pace, course content, workload, learning styles, and post-secondary opportunities as what really differentiated applied from an academic course. A few students even claimed that the difference was never explained to them and they couldn't explain what the difference between applied and academic were. While most students said that they were supported throughout high school in choosing their courses, looking back, they would have wanted more or better support in grade 8. So it was in grade 8, they weren't really thinking about their future career goals or their educational aspirations after high school. They were kind of just going through the motions. For a select few, this meant that they were pushed into the wrong stream, so they ended up being in applied when they actually wanted to go into academic. So here's another quote. They didn't explain a lot. I was just given a path to walk on. And another quote from one of the other students. "I didn't actually choose the courses myself. In middle school, I wanted to do academic, but my teachers put down applied." It wasn't until the students reached about 16, when they were in grade 10 or 11, that they really started thinking about what they wanted to do after high school. The end of their high school started to seem within reach, and they were thinking about where they were going to go next. Many students talked about something changed in the way that they thought. They started to take school more seriously. They wanted to improve their attendance. They wanted to surround themselves with other students who would support them, who would push them and who wouldn't bring them down. So we also asked the youth about whether they thought students could move from academic to applied or from applied to academic. And most of the students believe that you could move up from applied to academic if you put your mind to it and you put your best foot forward. It was their belief that the pathway that they were in, whether it be academic or applied, was largely determined by the grades that they got, which was in turn determined by how hard they tried. For some, though, that did want to make the change from applied to academic, administrative obstacles such as summer school deterred or, in their eyes, prevented them from making that change. Conversely, several students thought that to move down from academic to applied was quite easy, sometimes even too easy. As one student commented, "You just tell your guidance counselor you can't handle it." And here's another quote from one of the students we spoke to. "Just because you're an academic doesn't make you smarter, and just because you're in applied, it doesn't make you dumber. It's a technique that you use on how you study everything and how much effort you put into your work." So we also asked the students we spoke to about their meaning of success. So what success would look like for a course, for a grade, and for their entire high school education. And what we heard from students is success to them wasn't really about grades. It was about learning new knowledge and gaining new skills. You know, a lot of the students we spoke to acknowledged that it depends on the student. So if you put your best effort forward and you get a 60%, that's all right. If you put your best effort forward and you get a 90%, that's all right too. Next, I'm going to go through a little bit about what we heard from parents. So firstly, I want to mention that we approached many parents who could not be engaged to participate in an interview for this study. So our sample size for parents was notably smaller than students. So this suggests 2 points. That first, it is difficult to engage parents around this issue. And secondly, that what I'm about to present reflects the perspectives and experiences of those parents who are engaged.